Hello and welcome back to Doing. I'm Hester and I'm joined by the brilliant Ben Bowman. Ben, how you doing, mate?
Staying up, so we are
Staying up. We want levy up. Say we want levy up.
We are getting Champions League. So we are getting Champions League.
You said something a minute ago. You said only 13 points off Champions League, mate.
Can we?
Bigger miracles have been done.
13 points. That sounds doable, doesn't
What
it?
is that? That's we need.
We've got to play Bournemouth as well. They're coming to us in a few weeks, aren't they?
We need to catch. They need to lose 5 games. We need to win 5 games.
Yeah.
13 games left of the season.
Burnout, Iriola running the place.
Yeah.
Shit
manager, mate. Iriola.
Even more injuries,
Why is it as time's going on, I'm getting more and more turned off by Iriola?
I don't know. I'm locked into the big plan. I'm jacked into the big plan with Ange. So, don't know. I'm not even really. Who's Iriola? Are you talking about the West Ham goal?
I thought that was the nipple.
Yeah, I do like nipples, but I
I
also
love
like
Ariolas, but I don't know if I like Iriola.
And we've got 2 goalkeepers already, so we don't need another one. We don't need Ariola.
I reckon Ange has got fat Ariolas.
You reckon Ange's got burgers?
Dustbin lids.
Ange does look like he's lost a bit of weight, doesn't he?
Mate, he looks good.
He looks good. He looks a bit
good.
Maybe it's like, I don't know, the stress or.
I heard it's a Zempics.
Ange's on his MP. Ange Hoster Zempclu. I don't know. He looks good, Matt. He looks a little bit like he looks good there on the old touchline.
He was.
Do you know what it is? I think it's because he's not wearing that suit anymore. That suit, like the funeral suit, that did him no favours.
It was like his first day of year 7. That suit. It was too big for him.
Imagine like a massive backpack as well on his shoulders.
Like
one of the Nike ones, just like or like Just Do It, or like one of the Nike ones with Nike all down the back.
Yeah.
You could hanging down by his arse.
He's one strapping it. You could tell you could tell that he didn't want it to be too tight. So he's just like gone too baggy, and it just doesn't. It makes him look bigger because he's gone baggy and he's big. Like anyways, big Ant.
Yeah.
So, but you can tell he was buzzing on the sidelines yesterday. We'll get into the game. We're going to talk about the individual players that shone for us yesterday. We're going to talk about the game. But I think first of all, we need to just talk about the protests first of all and the takeaways from the protest, because this is the first time a protest has been successful, I think. In these mass numbers, and to think this is the beginning of this sort of change for Tottenham sort of movement is so promising. And the thing is, I don't know what Levy thinks of it. Who knows? But I think the reason this can be impactful is that it's hit the news articles.
Yeah.
And Sky yesterday had a big portion of their coverage talking about it. Yeah. And as long as it is in the mainstream media, talking about how Daniel Levy is running the club, all these problems, then you may start seeing. I think it will either sort of rile him up the wrong way, Daniel Levy, in a good way, in the fact that he'll be like, right, I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I'm going to start spending on buying players. I'm going to look ambitious, so to try and put everyone off of the scent, or he will sell up. And we got obviously links with Qatar last week. I don't believe them. I think it was convenient how they came in just before how convenient. Yeah, how convenient, just before the protest. But I mean that if they are looking to sell, I mean, do you know what I mean? This is a movement that it's just going to be an annoyance for them, and it's going to be broadcasted every single time. And it's so important to get this sort of conversation moving and gain momentum. So I thought it was just so. How impactful do you think this will be? This movement? Do you see it coming to a good sort of end?
It's hard to say really, but that doesn't take away from how successful it was as a thing, like as a protest, as a movement.
Yeah,
those things are so hard to kind of organise and be able to able to generate momentum off the back of it, and that's exactly what it has done. And like you said, it was on Sky; they were talking about it a lot. All the news articles, all the newspapers were all over it. All the newspapers had people down there speaking to fans, kind of covering it. This is the biggest, regardless of, it was the biggest in-person protest I've ever known
Yeah,
at
massive.
Spurs 100%. There's
Yeah.
probably around 2,000 people there marching down the high road towards the ground, and it was definitely enough for people to stand up and take notice. Obviously, the kind of only real previous protests that have happened in the last sort of 5 or 6 years. There was one before the Chelsea game, was it this year, or Liverpool game? I think it was maybe. What game was the Squid Game thing? I think it was Liverpool.
Oh yeah,
And
Liverpool.
which
Yeah.
wasn't huge, but there were people there. But this was much bigger than that. There was obviously the Super League one as well, but it was in COVID, so it was obviously harder to kind of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
really get a load of people down there and stuff like that. But this was great, like absolutely great. And the sit-in protests after the game as well. It was actually quite good that apparently a lot of the stewards were being actually really reasonable with people doing it and just kind of letting it happen, which was
An
good.
aggressive protest either. That's the thing, that it was like so well managed, wasn't it?
Yeah, they did so well. It was brilliant. And who knows whether it's going to change something or not. That's the objective, obviously, but just to kind of get the ball rolling with starting something of this kind of scale and just like getting it out there and getting it more. I think what the biggest positive out of everything that's happened with this is the fact that it's other fan bases are kind of starting to take notice of it, and it's being a bit taken more seriously. And actually, I think because one thing that I think gets lost with the whole Levy conversation is that a lot of rival fans will just turn around and say that, yeah, but Spurs have spent money. Levy's spent money. Look, you spent 60 million on Solanke, Richarlison, and Ndombele. Like the net spend over the last 5 years, all this kind of stuff. Like you spent a lot, and it's like it's not even about that. I think the message wasn't. The message was kind of getting lost a little bit in terms of why Spurs fans actually wanted to do this. And now I think it's been everyone's kind of singing from the same hymn sheet, and I think there was a lot more clarity around the reasons as to why Spurs want change. Because we just don't feel like we're operating seriously enough as a footballing entity, given the fact that our revenue streams are so lucrative and we generate so much money, that we feel like we're not showing anywhere near enough ambition, and that's exactly what it's all about. And I feel like more people, whether I'm talking about journalists or, and the good thing is that where the journalists have been a lot more open to reporting on it now because it's becoming more of a story.
Yeah.
There is far more clarity in the reasons why Spurs fans want this, rather than just like, oh, we don't spend enough money, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
It's not
absolutely.
about that. It's not about that anymore. So, yeah, it was really positive steps yesterday. So well done to everybody who organised it and went down there and made their voices heard. Whether you did or didn't, whether you were active on social media talking about it, or whether you couldn't make it to the game, but you were doing what you needed to do it, showing support in other ways. And it's just good that it feels like everybody's singing from the same hymn sheet. And there are going to be people excited to see the guy with the Levy in.
Yeah, that fucking guy.
That was crazy. It made me laugh because I was like, how is it? Like, how do you feel that strongly about wanting Levy to stay to the point where you create your own mini protest?
He wrote his own banner, didn't he? Like,
I know.
He just like drew
His
it on
wife
Levy in.
100% done that before the game. It's like, God, love, any chance, love, you could do me a favour before I go Spurs today.
His wife's Donna Cullen, mate.
Yeah, well, it made me laugh about that BBC Sport article last week that were kind of bucked
Yeah.
the trend of like the other stuff that was being reported around the protest, and it was kind of like, Levy's really hurt by everything that's going on. He really wants Spurs, and it's like anonymous source. It was like anonymous source, dollar cut, yeah, like Levy's son, or like fucking Brad Friedel,
Daniel Levy.
Yeah, or like the Brad Friedel looking geezer on the touchline, who's his brother.
Oh yeah,
he's his brother-in-law. Yeah, so. But yeah, really good stuff. Well done to everybody that was involved, whether it was organisation or whether it was actually being down there. So it was really, really, really good to see.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's the start of something. We don't know, but hopefully it's the start of something. And you just there's no point thinking like that about, well, what's the point? Nothing's ever going to change. Like, even football, non-football, change wouldn't have happened if it didn't start somewhere. So
exactly, I know it's gaining the momentum, and it's happened like organically as well. And it's like you can just genuinely tell we just want a football club that they can bring us joy. Do you know what I mean? On a consistent basis, or just
this morning been announced Post Malone at the.
Has it? I didn't even see that.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah,
That's
I'll go to that one actually.
That's the thing though, like
I like
Malone,
yeah.
The thing is though, I mean that's the thing. Like these things should be exciting. They should be exciting. Like, oh my days, Beyonce's coming to the stadium. Oh wow, like let's go. Do you want to go karting? But there's like a guilt in you. It's like, well, I'm giving money to the club and nothing's happening. Like there's we're football fans. We don't want the guilt. But then again, we're not really. We're not their first priority. They're looking for people that are going to have a big day out. We've covered these grounds all the time, so many times. But yeah, it was amazing. Jermaine Defoe on Sky. Obviously, watching the Sky coverage, I was thinking like I feel bad for Jermaine Defoe because
Was it a bit like Michael Dawson?
yeah. So
That's what
Sky
it
only
felt like
when they talk about the like Levy movement or Daniel Levy as an owner, they only bring on Spurs like not correspondence, but like they're still committed to the club. They still have a role in the club. So when they're talking about Jermaine Defoe, Michael Dawson, you can tell they want to say they agree, but they're always running a different narrative, or they'll try and tweak it, and it's annoying and frustrating because they're the ones representing Spurs on Sky. Yeah. But I mean, I understand why they're doing it. It's for their own jobs, but it's just like, come on, bring an ex-Spurs player on that is.
Well, to be honest,
Defoe
isn't involved anymore, is he? He's not at Spurs anymore.
Oh, is he not?
No, he's left. No, he left in the summer. Whereas Dawson is.
Yeah.
Dawson is. I know. Again, I was at the game, so I didn't. I saw bits of the Sky coverage, but
Defoe was quality, mate. Quality pundit.
I love Jermaine.
Yeah.
I do really love him. Like I said, I saw some of the things that he was saying. He wasn't being like. I don't think he went full Dawson and was
nowhere near.
Fans need to be a bit more grateful kind of vibe. I think it was more like. He was kind of sticking up for. He was just being a bit diplomatic, wasn't he? Whereas Jamie Redknapp and Gary Neville, to be fair, Gary Neville was like, it's time for Levy to like step aside and all this kind of stuff. Even though Neville was quite a big, he kind of stuck up for Levy in the past.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
It was kind of Carragher that was more the one, but yeah, I really like Jermaine Defoe. I thought he was actually really good on the Villa game, the cup game last week, and Joe Hart. But yeah, it's good that I think the bottom line is it's good that it's getting out there more in the. Into the mainstream, and also I think the just the message of why is a lot more clear.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing.
I looked it up yesterday. I looked up like Google images of the protest. Do you know what one of the first ones was, mate? Jack in a cow. Front and centre with a Levy out flag. It was sick.
I saw him yesterday. I met him yesterday.
Oh yeah.
What a guy!
What a legend, mate.
On his way back to Ireland.
You know. This may shock you. He's actually asked the question.
Oh, fuck him. Boring.
Yeah, but he always makes it on here, mate, because his questions are so fucking good.
Mate, it makes it on every single podcast.
I know. Fighting cock. Mate, his questions are just fucking...
Do you know, also, I think he's taller than me.
What? Serious?
Yeah, I was like...
Really?
Yesterday, yeah.
Wait, is he in like a Guinness World Records book or something?
Yeah. So how can he be taller?
Centre-back partnership, mate.
Oh, mate, me and Jador at the back would absolutely,
impenetrable. Yeah. So, I want to get onto the Man United game then. I don't want to talk about individuals yet because I actually think that individually this was a really, really strong performance. Like I thought there was some really, really positive displays from a lot of our players. Yeah. But sort of overall, individuals aside, were we that good, or were Man United bad? Because to be honest, from what I was watching, it was kind of like two old men with erectile dysfunction having a wank off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we were both of us were actually so bad, and like. And going up front. So I mean, like, no one could finish their dinner.
Yeah,
it was sloppy. There was so much space in the game.
Yeah,
and it was almost like a game of hot potato. No one wanted to win. Like, I don't know. It was really weird. It was a really weird game to watch. I don't know. Obviously, you were at the game, so you would have been there. But on the grand scheme of things, when I'm watching it on the TV, I was thinking like, this is the weirdest game of football I've ever seen in my life. Almost, it's not, but like, it was just weird. Like, I've spoke to sort of neutral fans, and they were saying it was a really tough watch because both teams were just pretty sloppy. But I actually think. I mean, we were obviously better than Man United, but we had quality off the bench for one, and I think there was factors of the game, and I know I said let's not talk about individuals, but I'm just going to say like having Vicario back there at the back, I think we were a lot more assured when there was shaky moments, when shit would kind of hit the fan, that we'd get back in numbers. Danso, we'll get into him again. I'm talking about individuals again, for fuck's sake. I'm trying not to, but like Vicario, having Vicario at the back again. Just that bit of confidence whenever there was a bit of danger that we'd sort of overcome it, and obviously we had the quality off the bench, and I think Man United, the way they played it, really just benefited us.
Yeah.
How did you feel? How did you feel about it?
I agree. Yeah, the way they kind of set up with Fernandes and Casemiro as that midfield pair, and I think gave us a big advantage because Bruno was constantly kind of going out to try and shut down the fullbacks on either side, especially over on our left-hand side. He was kind of tasked with going out to Spence quite a lot, and that just left Casemiro so isolated on his own in the middle. And Bergvall just ran absolutely all over Casemiro, especially in that first half before obviously him and Maddison both came off, and it meant that Maddison could get space deeper and affect the game from there. Yeah, it wasn't a perfect performance. We're still not anywhere near the level of fluency that we have been at, and maybe against a better side, we don't win that game. A side that is more confident in front of goal would probably punish us because there was times where we were still a little bit open and a bit shaky. But I do agree with like Vicario coming back, kind of just giving that back line a little bit more solidity and just a little bit more togetherness. I think his leadership is something that's been massively missed. You saw him all throughout. I mean, maybe you wouldn't see it as much on TV, but last 15, 20 minutes, he's really kind of helping closing it out from like a mentality perspective, constantly talking to the players. I saw him talking to Bergvall after the game as well, like kind of giving him a little bit of advice and a little bit of, talking him through certain things. And, Vicario is such a presence. And people will talk about the corners and all this kind of thing. It's just like, he only had one really to deal with yesterday that he actually did quite well. He punched away, made some really big saves to stop United from equalising. And like I said, if they were a little bit more clinical in front of goal, it could have been a different story. But then again, you could say exactly the same thing for us. There's no, if you're going to do if, buts and maybes, then Spurs should have won that game 3-0 as well. I think had 7 shots in the game. We had chances in that second half to bury it, and we just didn't do that. But thankfully, we were able to keep a clean sheet, which no matter how you get it done, that's one thing that Spurs haven't really done in the past under Ange so much, is find a way to grind results out and win ugly. And we've done it against Brentford and we've done it against United in a game that we probably should have won the game by more than one goal. So, yeah, I think you can take more. I think the things that you can take positives from are like a handful of individual performances. I don't think anybody played badly at all, but it was more just like we're still not there, like definitely not there. But you can take massive positives from the fact that we have 5 players back, 2 of which came in straight back into the starting 11 and had a big impact on the game. Like Maddison, I thought was excellent until he came off. And look, United are a mess, and we should have probably put them to the sword. But like, I think you can kind of take enough from that game to say like a bit of midweek rest, players coming back, and we're going to be better. I think that's the bottom line. But there were some really good individual performances as well.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, that's why we're dying to see these players come back, because it is just that individuality, that sort of special, those special players coming back. One bit of play can sort of change a game, or they can just. I just think, and we'll get into Maddison then next, because I'm sort of talking about him coming back. But I do think that this. I didn't like the system really, because I think, like you said, a better team than Man United do punish us. I don't think we win that game if it weren't for Man United. And that's the thing though, we got lucky. Finally, we got a bit of luck in this really, we've come off a really bad, difficult run-in. Playing Man United, a depleted Man United with no bench. It's like, finally, we get a bit of luck where we have players coming back exactly for that game.
Yeah, and just comments after the game, wasn't it? Welcome to my world.
Yeah, exactly. So
3 months.
Exactly. So I mean, no one was expecting it to be a special performance. It was just like, okay, this is a good game against a team with a lot of reputation, to go and make a statement or just win and then just keep going, building momentum. And Kulusevski said it after the game. He was saying his goal is to just get a good run, like a good run of form in the Prem and win Europa League. I mean, that is our ambition this season now, because we're out of every other competition. But I do think that just that individual quality really compensated for, I think, how open we were. We were really, really open at times. And I guess maybe Man United, we felt like we could be, because they were always open on the transition and vulnerable themselves. So maybe we were thinking, even if they do score, they'll push again for it, and we'll open them up. And on another day, we score a lot more. We deserve to win. I'm just thinking, I'm so happy we played Man United in this game, because I don't think we were set up for a good performance, personally. I think it was the individual quality shining through. So let's talk about Maddison. Mate, so good. And it's made me realise, and I know this is stating the obvious, but how integral Maddison actually is for us. especially in games like this. And that's the thing. I mean, he's obviously rolled up with the Roy Keane comments. I said last pod after, because we talked about the comments, I said, I really hope he doesn't respond on social media. I really hope he just goes out there and sets it right, and then he can talk about it. Then he can, and it's exactly what he did. I mean, within 12 minutes, yeah. And then after the game, he said he's made a little remark to it. But I mean, the thing about Maddison is that you can see how important he is. Now he has to then keep this going, because I kind of feel like every time he'll have a performance like this, the expectation goes up for him. But I was thinking about this because we got a question from Jack Doyle, Jackie Nickout. He says, how do we get the best out of both Decky and Maddison? Both want to play in the same position and it's difficult to play them together there. Do we just rotate them to keep them fresh so we're seeing the best of both, or play them in the same team? And I kind of feel like that's been Maddison's downfall.
Yeah,
because our best player this season has been Kulusevski, but Maddison's numbers are really, really promising. But every time he'll play well, he's got dropped, or not dropped, but he's been sacrificed a lot this season, and has to come on when we're already losing, or do you know what I mean? And he can't really grow into the game. Well, yesterday he grew in the game straight away. He just adapted. He laid a marker down. Do you feel like that? Obviously, that question, we'll get into that question in a bit more detail, but that sort of dynamic is actually detrimental to Maddison a little bit, because he has been so good. It's just, I don't know why I constantly keep feeling a bit like, can he do it consistently when he is being like dropped, or he goes plays in Europe and then he can't sort of get the same sort of energy going in the next game? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean. I also think that part of the the other side of this coin is that Kulusevski has really not been that good for the last month or so, and I think it's clearly because he's been running to the ground. So I think it's like if you had a fully fit and firing Kulusevski and Maddison playing in those two number 10 positions, depending on the opposition, then I think you could see that could definitely still work. Or have Kulusevski playing as a right winger when he's actually a bit more fit and firing, and Porro's not necessarily been running to the ground, and that right hand side dynamic just goes back to what it was a few months ago, because Kulusevski has had some really good performances on the right. I think people are maybe, I don't think it's his best position, but also I think people are clouding his performances or using his performances recently to kind of say that he shouldn't be playing there. I just don't think Kulusevski should be playing. At the moment, he should be, in an ideal world, he should be getting a rest. So I think it's hard to answer that question, of how we balance both of them. But it's a very fair question, because you could argue earlier on in the season that two-man kind of, or when they dovetailed kind of in those two number 10 positions, there were some games where it really, really worked, and there were some games where maybe the more pragmatic approach, and maybe having someone like Bergvall or Sarr, or maybe not Bergvall at the time, but Sarr or Bentancur in there with Basuma would have worked a little bit better. It's a tough one. It's a really tough one, because I think generally, Maddison's kind of impact for Spurs just does get a bit downplayed. I think that's why I found the Roy Keane thing pretty lazy, because it was actually like, no, I was killed for Maddison to come back right now. And, he proved, not just with the goal, because yes, it was a tap-in, but he reacts to it. But it was the way he kind of dictated the tempo of the game in that first half.
Yeah, absolutely.
Constantly found little pockets of space to feed little balls in behind to Son, or just combine and win free kicks, and just he helped us build up so much as well. Like, it's a really tough one, because maybe it has held Maddison back a little bit, but I also think that some of Maddison's best individual performances this season have been right up there with what Kulusevski has offered as well. So I don't know, a bit of a cop-out kind of answer to Jack's question, but it's kind of like, it's a really difficult one to judge right now, given the fact that we're not seeing Kulusevski maybe at his best.
Yeah, I know it's frustrating a little bit, because we keep seeing the best of them when they're not playing together, or they're not in the same sort of channels. And like we're saying, they both want to play that position. Kulusevski has the sort of the leverage of being able to play as a winger, so he's obviously just stuck to the right. But I mean, you know what? Paul Scholes on the overlap said something really interesting, and I thought, you know what, that's quite smart. Whereas it was about Romero and Van der Ven, and he was saying how if you're Spurs, you kind of just want to save them for Europa League. We're doing nothing in the Prem. The Prem is just about building momentum.
Yeah.
You do not want to just bring them in just because, and then they get injured again. So just like hold them back for a few more weeks, get them conditioned, get them ready to go, and maybe just start just introducing them into games, getting their match sharpness up without really relying on them because, well, I mean, we got nothing to lose in the Premier League, so there's no jeopardy of not playing them. But in the Europa League, we need them sharp and ready, and I feel like it's kind of the same for Kulusevski. Because let's be honest, he's the only one that hasn't had him, Bergvall and Porro are the only ones that haven't had a major injury this season. But they're the next ones to go because the minutes and the intensity that they've been used for this season, Kulusevski, there's a major risk of like his hamstring going or maybe even worse. He's just been so like running to the ground. And I just feel like now Maddison is back. Maddison needs a string of games put together, consistent game time where he's heavily relied upon as one of the sort of one of the most pivotal players in our team. And Kulusevski needs a break. So I just feel like Kulusevski on the bench from now on is the way to go. Well, whilst we start introducing players back in the fold like Odebear, Johnson, slowly, maybe they can share minutes out wide. Mikey Moore, you obviously Tell can play on the right. I don't know, but I feel like Maddison deserves that 10 role for a long run of games, whilst Kulusevski kind of just gets his breath a little bit. But then going forward, I have no idea. I don't know. I feel like that's the thing. We are seeing a lot of individual sort of battles now in our team, which is kind of a good problem to have. It's just we've had loads of problems. I mean, we'll get into Djed Spence. I mean, we're seeing really good, not backups, but players that should be playing. Like Kulusevski and Maddison should both be playing. So it's about. I mean, what we need to do now is to go get a right winger, so that now it's like whoever's playing the best football plays that number 10, Maddison or Kulusevski, and then that right winger has that right wing spot. Do you know what I mean? It's about building that competition in the squad. It's just it is a good question because it is a proper conundrum. Yeah. But right now, Kulusevski just needs a rest, mate, because we cannot risk him being injured, maybe even like misses pre-season because of a long-term injury, all this stuff. Solanke as well. We need to manage these minutes whilst we're in the Prem. There's nothing to play for. Just building that and conditioning our squad so they're ready to go for Europa League, because that's our mate. That's what we're going for. This is our way into Europe, and not even just Europe, not Conference League, not Europa League, the Champions League. It will be astonishing if we manage to get Champions League football for next year. But that's the thing, we can't burn out, and we're getting these like reinforcements in now, so we need to just sort of just manage their minutes in a reasonable way and not get too down and out if we still drop points in the Premier League, because there's nothing to play for in the Prem. It's about managing a squad now. That it's almost become bigger than playing week to week. We need to sort of harness this group of players because, I mean, they're so fragile. But I want to talk about players that have come in and have. I mean, they've done a proper good job considering the calibre of players that we're missing. I'm talking Kevin Danso and Djed Spence. So first of all, Djed Spence, did you say about Thomas Tuchel maybe being in was he in attendance or just keeping his eye out for Djed Spence because
no, he wasn't there. No, what game was he at recently?
He was at a game a couple of weeks ago, didn't he?
He was at our game against Newcastle.
Yeah.
Spence didn't play. I don't know whether he was.
He played centre back. He came on and played centre back, didn't he?
Oh yeah.
Do you know what? For Djed Spence, this is actually a really good timing to sort of come into his own, because Kyle Walker is washed, Trippier washed. But they're coming to the end of the career.
Trippier's done, and he's not.
Trippier's done. He's not playing for England again. Walker's he's not going to play for England again, is he? I don't think so.
Doubt it.
James made the same stuff Richarlison is, yeah?
Yeah.
Now you've got Trent Alexander-Arnold, Livramento, Djed Spence, no?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
On the left-hand side, Miles Lewis-Skelly and Lewis Hall.
Lewis Hall, yeah.
Yeah, but Djed Spence can be that utility player on the left as well. Djed Spence has got a really. I think the Fighting Cock said this. Like, is it even that controversial to say that Spence should be an England player in 12 months?
Yeah.
Like, this is a realistic thing. I think. Like, all of a sudden, as well. I mean, if we sign a backup left back in the summer, we've got really, really good full-back depth.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he's so good.
He's brilliant, mate. He's absolutely ridiculous. I made a video yesterday talking about the Djed Spence England thing, and a lot of people were just like, what are you talking about? I said he's been one of the best Premier League fullbacks this season in the run that he's had in the team. He has. That's a fact. Like, you look at the individual performances that he's had against some of the best wingers in the league, and yes, he didn't have that yesterday, but he just makes everything look so easy. He's so hard to get the ball off of, which is so good when you are a team that wants to build up from the back a lot of the time. He's so press resistant because the way he dribbles, he shields the ball so well. He keeps the ball so close to his body. He's got that burst of pace to get him out of difficult situations as well. And his physical frame makes it easier for him to shield the ball. And like with the England thing, like that versatility. The one thing that makes it even better is the fact that he's done this out position. Like he has done this out position.
Yeah.
Which is going to stand him in even more stead, and means the praise should be even more strong. But also, like, yeah, when it comes to picking a squad for a tournament, that versatility is going to take him a long way and might give him the edge over someone that maybe can't fill in. Livramento can fill in the left back, and you're not going to pick Trent, so you know it's not necessarily a surefire bet over them two. But at left wing back as well, yeah, he's just. I'd love to see him in there because it would again just be like the perfect way to cap off what has been an amazing turnaround. And someone made a really good point about like, because Ange's been getting so much stick for like not using him and all this kind of stuff, which is 100% fair, right? But also maybe it's fine that it just kind of worked out this way, and maybe he needed that to really actually. Would we have seen, if he got the chance from the start of the season, would we have seen this level of performance if he wasn't kind of made to be a bit more patient? I don't know. It's all kind of guesswork. Who really knows? But he's just absolutely phenomenal. Man of the match deservedly yesterday, unsurprisingly. He was the best player on the pitch comfortably. And I think it's one of those ones where like I think rival fans are now starting to take more notice of it, going, oh God, he's good, Djed Spence, isn't he? Like, what happened?
Alcott as well. Alcott.
Yeah.
James Alcott's.
Me and Flav did try to say to him the other week I jumped on the mailbag and spoke to them both, and we were talking about Djed Spence, and James was like, oh, I don't know, I'm not really setting. And we just both said, no, just watch. So we got a public apology yesterday from James.
Yeah, I saw that.
He's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. Attitude top. Really, I thought going forward yesterday he was really exciting as well. I think sometimes I said this a lot, especially with the kind of left winger profiles that we have got. If we're not playing like Moore or obviously Odebear who's just come back, like with Son or Tell, who are both clearly more like inside kind of forwards. I think Spence being a right footer and wanting to drive into the channels a lot of the time rather than going around the outside can hinder us a little bit when we're trying to break teams down, because it makes us more predictable to play. It makes it kind of easier to set up against, I guess. But yesterday there were quite a lot of times where he would go to the byline and he would kind of go around and he would use his body. There was one in the second half where he skinned, I can't remember if it was Dallo or Mazraoui. I think it was Mazraoui, where he kind of gave him the shoulder and then cut it back on his left foot, and we won a corner, I think. And
Mazraoui.
I think that confidence is coming into his game where he feels like maybe he can go on the outside a little bit more, which is good. I would like to. I think I don't want to piss all over the Djed Spence party, but like I would like to see a doggy come back. I genuinely would. I think the balance of the team is better when a doggy's there. But then again, I think then you're having a conversation about the right back situation. I think Spence deserves a real chance. Mm-hmm. But also, I thought Porro was really good yesterday, by the way. I thought there were moments in the first half where he left too much space for Dorgu and Garnacho, and I think we got sucked into being a bit too narrow, which is a problem. That happens a lot. But second half, I thought he was excellent, Porro. I thought he was really good.
Much better improvement.
We haven't had this kind of competition. Like, last time we had it was kind of Walker and Trippier that last season, and Walker ended up getting sold. So maybe we just fucking sell Porro and just replace Spence there. But
yeah, I mean, all I can say is Levy in, mate. He pioneered that deal, that Djed Spence deal. Yeah. This is bigger than the Conte era, mate. Yeah. I'll man's up. I don't. Anyone there who thinks I'm Levy, I'm not.
I'll man's up.
I'll set up. Sorry. No, mate. I mean, how much money is he saving us? I saw it yesterday. I can't remember who, but it was on my feed, and it was like he would genuinely be about a 40 mil signing that we'd have to go and buy in the
Yeah.
summer because we'd need this sort of backup. And all of a sudden, he's that backup to Porro, and it's perfect. Or not even backup; he's just that competition for Porro, and they can battle it out individually. And now we're just one fullback away from having like the best fullback depth in a league, and it's saving us so much money. So, I mean. It's massive. It's massive for us. It's massive for our future because he seems so assured and so established, and he's got a football brain on him. He's technical. He's strong. He's quick. He's got every mineral to be a top player. And he's only 24, is he?
Yeah.
He's got about 6 years left at the top of his game, maybe even more. So I mean, unbelievable. If he can keep these levels up and maybe even improve, what a player we got. And like you're saying, he likes to drive inside on his right foot. I mean, if he plays right back, maybe he's driving by the touchline. He has the technicality to keep that ball on the byline or on that close to that line and hold that width 100%. And I think he's just going to be a massive player for our future. When we could have sold him for 8 mil to Genoa and they didn't even take that option up, so it's crazy. We got a question from Matt Sapolo. Says, is Danso a possible long-term solution at centre-back? I only played a few games but been impressive. If Romero goes in the summer, I have a feeling that he will. Our centre-backs next year would be Danso, Van der Ven, Vuskovic, Davis, and probably bring in another, like he says, Lecroix or the kid from Burnley, best case. I mean, we've also got Dragusin, but he's not going to be back till December, and I just don't see Dragusin finding the way back into the Spurs team.
No,
I think that this sort of chapter is up. I think that January or maybe even the summer is when he starts going. It's like a loan to buy in it for Dragusin. You can just sort of see that. But I mean, Romero, who knows what's going to happen in the summer? I don't want to start talking about Romero, but Danso, he could be a possible long-term solution. I think him and Van der Ven would be really, really impressive in a high line. But I kind of see him as he's like a Van der Ven on the other side, isn't he? Because he obviously hasn't got the same recovery pace, but it's the fact that it's the opposite to. I mean, it's just like Van der Ven. It's not similar to Romero, where he'll be press proven by finding a sort of a splitting pass through the middle or finding that long pass. It will be, I'm just going to bulldoze my way through the press and run up the pitch. A little bit like how Van der Ven, how his frame is stature, he's so big and so powerful and so quick. I mean, look at the fucking size of his legs. Like, it's ridiculous.
Mate, his quad is like the size of...
Oh my days.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Ridiculous. So, I mean, it's actually a really good signing. And again, we fell up, didn't we? We fell upwards because look, with all the other signings, he was kind of perfect because to play a centre-back in our system and look comfortable, you got to be a hell of a defender. And he is like an ultimate defender. So I am really... it is really promising. But for like a long-term solution for centre-back, I don't think he is. I think, again, we're looking at squad depth, a very competent squad depth option. Like, someone that can be a monster for us throughout a season and relied upon when we need to rely on him. But I still think if we sell Romero, we need to get that Romero-esque centre-back.
Yeah,
because also Van der Ven's going to be injured as well a lot.
Yeah, Romero is one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League. You have to, if he's going to go, which, you know, is a possibility. I'm not sure it's guaranteed, but it is definitely a possibility. Then we have to replace him with someone who's as good. That has to happen. Like, it just, like, that's why, you know, I don't think he's the perfect fit. But like, if I wouldn't be really unhappy if we sold Romero and brought in Mark Gay, but I still think Romero's better.
Yeah.
But then that's if you're gonna purely in terms of like level. If Romero is going to be sold, it's got to be someone of that level that's going to have to come in. And so, yeah, I think Danso. I've been really impressed with Danso, especially yesterday. I like how brave he is when he comes out. Looks a little bit clunky at times, but I think defensively as well, that recovery, obviously that tackle on Højlund yesterday, he's confident, he's calm. I really like him. I like what I've seen so far. Proper defender, good fit for the system, much better fit than Dragusin. Allows us, like you said, to kind of step up the pitch 5-10 yards because of his recovery going the other way. I've been impressed. I think he's a very good. Yeah, it seems like a really good guy. Good leadership skills as well. I think I've kind of seen so far.
Yeah.
I just think, I think it's good to just kind of be able to be like, he's a very good squad player.
Yeah.
And we need that.
And he played at the back. He played at the centre of a back three, if I'm not mistaken, as well for Lons, didn't he? Because he had Kushinov and he had Medina. He would play. He played sort of in that. So maybe he could play on the left hand side, and I feel like he would partner Romero well, the same sort of way as Van der Ven kind of partners him, just not to the same level because Van der Ven's just a freak. But I mean, if we can keep Romero. We got Vuskovic who could play that left hand side because he's sort of both footed and he's just really competent. But Danso as well, possibly Davis or Gray at worst comes worst. But maybe we don't need another. I feel like we would need another defender, even that because Romero and Van der Ven are so injury prone. But I kind of feel like we need a more of a left back over a centre back with those options. Say Romero stays. It's just difficult, innit? Especially if we're in Champions League. It's just sort of one of those things where it's like, no, we just need everything. We just need depth and to sort of caveat these injuries. Talking about injuries though, Odebear.
Oh my God,
mate! I was petrified when he came on because I just instantly am thinking about Ryan Sessegnon having a couple of hamstring injuries. All of a sudden. Running like he doesn't trust his body and sort of and his gait is narrow and he just doesn't want to overcommit. The fluidity in Odebear's running, his dribbling, it was like he'd never left. It was like it was like you know in Endgame where they de-dust and they come back. Yeah. It was like Odebear was playing in that Everton game in the second game of the season, got dusted, and then just spawned back in the Man United game doing the exact same thing. That's how I'd like to see it, because he seemed just as quick, just as agile, just as skillful, and with that guile. And I mean, mate, if we can get an Odebear for the rest of the season, that's going to be a new signing, because he was a new signing that we never really got to see.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I've been banging the Odebear drum for a long time. I think we've missed him so much more than people have kind of made out.
Yeah.
I think people have kind of started to see that as time has gone on, because our winger options have just kind of got more stale, and these players just aren't playing with confidence and are getting run into the ground. And, you know, Sonny was just dreadful yesterday again. And then Odebear comes on and it's just a bit of a spark. And, yeah, more dribbles completed, I think, than Son and Kulusevski in the 90 minutes, which is... Yeah. You know, crazy. I mean, Kulusevski isn't really a dribbler anyway. He's a carrier, and Sonny is. And, you know, he obviously set up that chance for Tell where he kind of just smashed it straight back at Onana. He had a few moments where it just felt like, given how dysfunctional United's right-hand side was from a defensive point of view, and the kind of gaps that they were sort of leaving and the amount of opportunities Sonny had to kind of run into space, if we'd have brought on more maybe with 20-25 minutes to go, or brought on Odebear at that time a bit earlier as well, like I think we could have gone and won that game 2 or 3.
I think so.
I do really believe that. But I understand that Odebear probably could have only maybe played 5-10 minutes. Like, I'm glad that he got the minutes out there. It's just good to have him back. And I think, like, you know, if we're looking ahead to Ipswich at the weekend, or, you know, we'll probably do another pod later in the week, but like, he's one that hopefully maybe he's got enough in the tank to maybe start a game. I know Andrew said they were going to be really careful with him, but you know, if he can get some minutes on that right-hand side or left-hand side, and obviously it's good to have Johnson back as well, as frustrating as he can be, and it is and continue to be. Yesterday, there was like a couple of moments where it was like, just go. Like there was one where the defence literally parted for him, wasn't it? Like I think the left side, was it Delict playing on the left side, centre half, and
I think so.
And then Dorgu just the gap just opened up, and it was like he's still just looking for Kulusevski to kind of.
He's got the pace to get in there as well.
Yeah. He? Yeah, as we said it, like I know Bergvall was off by that point, but if that was Bergvall carrying the ball, Bergvall just drives into the box there. Like he's got that engine and he's got that just like, no, I'm going to go. Whereas Johnson that's just the really frustrating thing about Johnson is just like get into those positions and it's just not brave enough. Whereas, you know, I think we've really missed that kind of bravery out wide. And Odebear, you know, he's kind of got the glint in his eye when he faces up a defender. So that's going to be really big for us if he can kind of actually stay fit for the rest of the season, and obviously for Europe as well, because he's still in the squad, isn't he? He didn't get booted.
Yeah, he's in the squad. Yeah.
So no, I'm glad to have Odebear back. Yeah, I thought Sonny was really poor, but again, I think he just desperately, him and Kulusevski just need to. I'd bench both of them at the weekend. I just would. Like,
Ipswich as well.
Yeah,
I mean, Ipswich is going to be a lot harder than we think, but
but having them both on the bench, if it's not going well, bring them both on.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the thing. Now we have that leverage, but I mean, I actually kind of see Odebear's future more as like a number 10 in the future going forward. He just in that pocket of space. He's got that. He drives forward. A little bit like Kluivert-esque for
Yeah, I could see that maybe.
I can see him developing into that. Obviously, Kluivert started down the wing. I mean, he could play both. He's got that luxury.
I think he's more of a 1v1 player than Kluivert, though, to be honest. I think Kluivert plays more like a striker.
He could definitely be better. I mean, 100%. His ceiling is so high, and it's just like keeping him fit. And let's see, because obviously he didn't have an injury before coming to Spurs, but obviously he's had back-to-back hamstring injuries. But, I mean, he just looks like such a talent. Just the confidence that we've lacked as well. Not only his profile, because he is a different profile and that 1v1 sort of, that ability, but it's the confidence to take it forward, which we've lacked. Like, we were talking about Johnson, we were talking about Werner, we were talking about Son. Odegaard's fearless. He plays with that fearless. He's come back after, like, what, 3-4 months? And he's just straight back in like he's never left, like taking on players and just rinsing them and just dropping the shoulder and just turning them. He just looks so promising. And the last thing I want to talk about, last player I was about, is Tell.
Yeah.
Because I was actually really... thing is, with Tell, and let's be honest, the majority of us hadn't seen him on like a game-to-game basis. We'd seen clips of him.
Yeah.
And I think my assessment of him so far is that really good attitude, really encouraging displays, his effort he puts in, his commitment and passion he's showing, and everything about his game. He's I've talked about this all the time. He's got all the minerals to be an unbelievable player. He is just raw, isn't he?
Yeah,
and you could tell he so desperately wanted that goal yesterday.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I think he did. I think he's a player that like people who have watch more of him on a consistent basis than, you know, like people like me and you who kind of were definitely aware of him and had seen him in the Champions League occasionally, but basing it kind of just more off packages that we'd kind of seen in the lead up to us signing him, or certainly that's where we'd learned more about what he actually is. I think a lot of people have been saying that he's a player that is heavily reliant on rhythm, you know, and to be fair, he hasn't had that buy-in at all. He's hardly played this season, and last year he was coming off the bench a lot, but he was getting consistent minutes off the bench mixed in with starts as well, so he was constantly playing, whereas this year that hasn't happened for him at Bayern Munich. And obviously he's played in every single Spurs game so far. He's started against Villa and against Liverpool, got 2 90s under his belt, and has got 1 goal in those games, and yesterday he probably should have had a goal. Like, if he can just sharpen up that finishing and decision making, which is going to come with time and a bit more rhythm, then I think he, like you said, everything else has made me really encouraged. So I would like to see, like, he's got that relationship with Odegaard, isn't he? I'd like to see him and Odegaard play together more, and I'd like to see what he'd be like as kind of one of the wingers when Solanke's in the team as well. I'd quite like to see him off the right as well. I've said that a few times. Get him into kind of the space over there. But I think people are just like that. I was kind of going through Twitter yesterday or this morning as well, and there were people trying to kind of clown his performance. Not necessarily Spurs fans, but I know some Spurs fans were getting a bit frustrated with him. Seb didn't think he played very well, and I was kind of like, I thought he showed real glimpses. I just think that that decision, he got worse as the game went on, and I think the decision making in the final third, especially when we were counter attacking, and it kind of really opened up for us. There was a couple of passes that he just played behind Johnson, or one that it was an easy pass. I think it was either Johnson or Son, I can't remember, and he just messed it up. It was like, look, he's a 19-year-old kid making his Premier League debut at the end of the day, and I think one thing that I think the standout thing, like you've said so far about him, is one, the technical quality, not just necessarily in his finishing. I think that will come, but one, we did see that against Villa, to be fair, with the goal, but his link-up play, good leading the press as well, and I think that little bit of leadership from the front, you can tell that he's kind of come from a big club, a big institution, which is definitely there, and he backs himself as well, because he just went again and again and again with the shots and didn't shy away. Finishing was a little bit powder puff, but it's going to come with time. Got 7 shots away, so he's getting in the right areas. Good movement as well, especially off the last line. So I was encouraged with that. Yeah,
you could just see he was just desperate at the end of the game, and he could sniff the danger as well, because you could tell there was so many spaces, so much space to sort of exploit, and I think he was getting a bit frustrated. It might be getting to his head, but again, like you're saying, he's in those positions. He's very clever, and let's be honest, he's not. I mean, he's not even an out and out striker. So like to sniff those like attacking, have that instinct to get into pockets of spaces. He was coming deep as well, and just sort of almost using himself as like a bounce pass for Maddison and stuff like that to just keep the ball moving.
So many times, Maddison needs a proper number 9.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, massively.
He does, and I think you could tell there was a couple of little balls that he clipped slipped into him. They had a nice little
Yeah.
relationship yesterday. So yeah, I think with Maddison now back, I think you're going to get Tell even more chances.
Yeah,
So.
massively. I think it's hopefully he sees now how fucking shit Man United actually are and think, oh my god, like Man United aren't who I think they are. I feel like that's been blown out of proportion anyways, this whole like Tell wants United thing. But also, I'm a little bit relieved because I think I was scared that this kid would come in and be like, fuck me, he's too good for us. And I actually think, like, where he's obviously, he needs to be refined, and where he's obviously raw, but he's got every attribute that you want from a player. He's got the right mentality. Game. We can develop at the perfect time together.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like it actually is the perfect fit because he isn't coming in on a loan, bossing it, being the best player on the pitch.
Yeah, I'm too good for this.
Good for this. What am I getting myself into? He's kind of in a really, like, healthy, natural environment for him to just keep developing along with all these other young talents. And then all of a sudden in 2 years he's refined, he's got that game experience, he makes the right decisions, he makes the right pass, he keeps his head when he's through on goal, and all of a sudden we've got an unbelievable player when everyone else is coming to their own as well. And I hope he sees this and thinks, Jesus, like this is a perfect place for me to develop, and in a few years this team's going to be unbelievable. So I'm a little bit relieved that he almost isn't that he isn't that good. Like he obviously is really good, but like, I was fearful that he was just way too good for us, and he's just going to realise it. He's not. He's not one of our outstanding players. He worked really well, and he's a very good fit, and he'll grow into it. Yeah. I loved him, and he's a very likeable player as well. I really, really like him. I love how he sort of G's up the fans. Like you're saying, he's transferred that mentality of a massive European club to Spurs, and it's like what Kulusevski did for Juventus. It's that generating that different culture, that winning mentality culture that we're going to carry with us as these players develop and get and age and mature. We got one more question from Paul 360 on Twitter. He said, and I just think because we've talked about this a little bit, and I think it's quite interesting. What's our best start in XI? Very hypothetical. Europa League final. Who starts?
Everybody's available.
Who start? I think this was actually quite interesting because I'll say mine, and I feel like you might disagree with me.
Okay.
Kinski. No, he's not even in the Europa League squad. Vicario.
Yep.
Romero Van Ven. Djed Spence. Right now, I don't know, I don't know, yeah. Djed Spence, Bentancur, Bergvall, Kulusevski, Tell right mid. This is fucking stupid because I have no evidence for this. Solanke, Odebear.
I like
only because it's just like the different profiles that complement each other.
Yeah. I get that. No, it's so hard. I would love to see that. I also just think Maddison has got. I really want Bergvall to turn into like an amazing number 6.
So we can.
So we can just like play Bergvall, Maddison, and Kulusevski together, even though that just shouldn't work. But you know,
I think I'm going to say I really hope Bergvall turns into like an unbelievable number 10, so we can just fuck off Kulusevski and Maddison, not worry about it.
Yeah, not worry about it. Yeah. Oh, it's so hard. I mean, the back four is so difficult because it's like I don't want to. I think Porro just like I've been so frustrated with him at times, but I just think that he's a great footballer.
Yeah, he's just been overplayed, isn't he?
Yeah, but Spence, I think if you're picking it right now, I think it probably would be Spence, but then again, if you're picking it right now, you're not picking a doggy. But I just think again for the balance of the team, if it was like a big game tomorrow, I think he just has to play. And I like the front three. I do like that. I think a lot of people. I think Jack might have tweeted me about it, or someone said something about it as well. A lot of people have been talking about like I'd like to see Solanke, Tell, and Odebear as a front three. If Odebear can kind of play on the right as well.
Yeah, but all three of them could just that fluidity, like they could all play in every position, like left, right, and they could just be like that fluid attack with Solanke sort of spearheading it, and Kulusevski just dipping right to left, central.
Yeah, it's hard because it's like how many. Someone literally just he must be reading our minds because Seb has literally just tweeted saying, if Tottenham have a fully fit squad to choose from in our best 11, there are 4 positions that are up for debate for me: DM, right wing, attacking mid, and left wing. DM, Basuma / Bentancur, Role doesn't suit either. Who do you trust? Right wing. If Maddison starts, is it Kulu out there or is it Brennan or Alderweireld? Attacking mid, Maddis/Kulu. If one, it's Kulu for me, but is Maddis too good to be left out? Then put Kulusevski right wing. Left wing, Tel/Alderweireld. Do you drop your captain in Son? Difficult decision. I'll probably right now say the locks in the team are Vicario, Spence, Romero, Udogie, Van der Ven, Bergvall, and Solanke.
Yeah, I mean, even Spence isn't locked in though. I don't think.
He's a what if the lock is, if you're putting a padlock down? How far have you put it down on Spence? You know what I mean? You've turned it, and you're about to
just letting that little bit of leeway just in case.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, thing is, Son won't be dropped in the Europa League final. We'll start because he's Son. Like I don't, and that's what frustrates me a little bit because it's the sort of reputation of him that will make him start. But then again, having that firepower off the bench. I mean, Alderweireld. It's the different profiles now that we got because obviously who's missing out then? Maddison, Danso. I know, like I'm just naming them, but Porro is missing out. Gray, Bissouma, Sarr, Moore, Johnson, Werner. No, obviously not. But who else? There's a lot of really good players that we're missing out there. And this is what I'm saying. Just rest the players. Rest the players. Don't worry about playing them in the Prem. Maybe just get it just to sort of get.
Well, the Prem is also kind of what you were saying in terms of along the lines of getting them fit, but also like. You don't want to just completely write off the Premier League because there is actually turn this around a little bit. Like, You know, we can. There is room to. I'm thinking about remember the Man City home game last year where Ange tried something a bit different with Saka.
Try a bit. Yeah.
We have got a bit of wiggle room in the Premier League to okay, we can't just fuck it. Let's just experiment with everything because at the end of the day, we are safe. Come on, but we're not gonna. We can't just fuck it off. But there is room to experiment with a few things, I think, in the Prem. I think we can kind of use the Prem as a little bit of okay, well, let's try this. Again, it's funny, while we're doing this episode, Lily White Lab literally just tweeted the picture of Alderweireld and Tel before the game yesterday saying, our future is in safe hands with these two, French excellence. And Jack Enoch out fucking everywhere.
Yeah, mate.
Saying, do you think Tel could work as an inside forward off the right with Alderweireld on the wing and Solanke up top? Could allow Porro to provide the width from the right, then given he has arguably... which something, what he just says is something that is overlooked massively, I think, with Porro. But he said, could allow Porro provide width from the right, then given the fact that he has arguably the best delivery in the squad, which he does, 100% does. And then you've got, Lily White Lab replied saying, certainly, something I've been thinking about. I'd imagine him and Solanke striking up a really nice partnership with Dom kind of roaming, dropping a little bit deeper, and Tel getting in behind to kind of stretch the back line. So,
yeah, having those 2-10, Kulusevski.
I might go play it on career mode now. I might go
up front with Solanke.
I might see how it works on career mode and let you know.
Yeah. Mate, I'd fucking love Postecoglou to just start dropping the most weirdest tactics. We have nothing to lose, like you're saying. Absolutely nothing to lose. This is the sort of period now between Europa League matches where we treat this almost like a little pre-season. Yeah. I know that sounds stupid, but why? Why not? But I mean, that's the thing. We got a lot of profiles that we need to introduce and see, and that's the thing as well with Premier League football is this is almost like, okay, all of you fight for the Europa League places now. Like, who's going to be on form come the running if we get there? Like, who's going to be firing? Because it could be a completely different conversation. We could be talking about Mikey Moore. Do you know what I mean? When the time comes, we don't know who we're going to be talking about. So it's really exciting.
I'm excited for pre-season as well.
I'm really excited. I'm excited for just to sprinkle new players and just going again. It's been a draining season.
Yeah.
But now we're almost in just a bit of a leverage. How shit we are. It's kind of worked out for the best. Yeah. Out of all the competition, we got Europa League. But Premier League, we're so shit. There's nothing to fight for now. But we're safe. We're in that weird purgatory.
Wins in a row on Saturday if we beat Ipswich, mate. And then Man City, we always beat them. That's 4.
Yeah, fucking piss easy, mate. Man City.
We're back.
Why am I more confident for Man City than Ipswich?
Yeah, exactly. Why? I mean, I was more confident for Man United than Leicester.
Yeah. That's true.
We've ever done the double over him in the Premier League.
That's
crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, really? That's fucking mental. I was thinking as well, like, I don't, he'll cost a lot, and I kind of feel like we need a more established player. But if we sign Diblin, we have Diblin and Moore, best young English wingers.
Yeah.
Talents. I mean, Tel and Alderweireld as well. Not bad, mate, for the future.
We are cooking.
Double French, double English. We're cooking. All right, everyone, legends. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe, comment. review us on Spotify, follow on Spotify, leave a comment. It all helps us for the algorithm. And
Exactly.
if there's a mate of yours that you think would like the pod, who's a Spurs fan, introduce them. But yeah, thanks everyone that getting involved in the last video, the comments. And mate, everyone's talking about your Ange accent, mate.
Really, mate?
Yeah.
Well, let's go, mate. Nobody commented about the darts last episode, though. Quite sad about that.
Oh no, fuck it, no. I think I will have to make it like a real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a nice little segment. Everyone, legends. Thanks so much.
Up Spurs.
Up Spurs. Take care.